Have you ever stopped to think that behind the dazzling lights and deafening applause, there's a boy who just wanted to sing? In Justin Bieber's case, that boy was born in a small town in Canada, far from the grand stages and crowds that would later chant his name in unison. From early on, it seemed like fate was whispering that he carried a gift. But no one could have imagined how much that gift would change not only his life, but also the lives of millions of people around the world. Before diving into this inspiring journey, subscribe to the channel and stay until the end. You'll walk away from this story with a fresh perspective. Justin Bieber was born on March 1, 1994, in Stratford, Ontario. His childhood wasn't filled with luxury or ease. Raised primarily by his mother, Patty Millett, in a modest home, he grew up learning that love and creativity were more valuable than any material wealth. Despite financial struggles, Patty always made it a priority to nurture her son's talent. In that small house, music wasn't just sound, it was a refuge. Can you picture that little boy, just a few years old, with a spark in his eyes, holding a guitar bigger than he was? He didn't have formal music lessons. He learned on his own, watching, listening, feeling. He played the drums, piano, guitar, and trumpet, all by ear. Not because someone told him to, but because it seemed like music flowed through his veins. At 12 years old, a moment came that would change everything. Justin entered a small local talent competition. He came in second place. For many, that might have felt like a loss. For him, it was just the beginning. His proud mother decided to record and upload his performances to YouTube, just so family and friends could watch. She didn't know it, but she had just pressed the button that would connect Justin's journey to the history of global pop music. The views started small, then came the shares. And soon, that Canadian kid was catching the attention of music producers across the border. Among them was a name that would change everything, Scooter Braun. When Scooter stumbled across Justin's videos by chance, he saw more than talent. He saw a phenomenon in the making. When Justin was brought to meet Usher, one of the biggest artists of the time, life seemed poised to turn upside down. And when Usher heard him sing, he knew instantly there was something rare there. Something that couldn't be taught, only born with. For you, hearing this story now, it might almost sound like a fairy tale. But the truth is, nothing came without effort up to this point. Between one YouTube video and the next, Justin practiced, studied, and tried to balance teenage life with a talent that was growing faster than he could keep up with. There was a certain weight in carrying so many expectations so young, but there was also an inner strength that propelled him forward. Soon came the contract with Island Records. The kid from Stratford was about to release his first single, One Time. And in a matter of days, what was once just a name online turned into headlines. Thousands of fans began following him online, forming what would later become one of the most loyal and passionate fandoms in history, the Beliebers. Can you imagine what it's like, at 15, to see crowds waiting for you outside hotels? Or to hear people you've never met singing every word of a song you wrote? For Justin, it was surreal, but also deeply moving. He knew that, somehow, he was touching hearts, and that was bigger than any fear. And so, that boy from a small town was about to see his life transform into something he couldn't have predicted even in his wildest dreams. But what happened next took his journey to even greater heights. The rise and the light that spreads. You blinked, and that kid from Stratford, who once played guitar in his bedroom, was now at the center of the pop world. The year was 2010, and Justin released his album My World 2.0. It was like lighting a spark that spread like wildfire. The song Baby didn't just top the charts, it became a cultural phenomenon. You couldn't turn on the radio, open the internet, or watch TV without hearing that melody. But what few people realized was that behind the phenomenon was a boy still adjusting to a life moving at the speed of light. He could have gotten lost in the frenzy, but he chose a different path. He used his voice not just to sing, but to inspire. Do you remember his early interviews? He always talked about gratitude. About how none of it would have been possible without the support of his mom, his fans, and the people who believed in him when he was just a boy with a guitar. Those weren't empty words, he truly felt them. And it was that authenticity that made him more than a teen star. Justin wasn't just there to sell music, he wanted to connect. That's why, early on, he started participating in charity projects, visiting children's hospitals, and supporting social causes. He knew his reach could be used for much more than fame. Can you imagine what it's like to walk into a hospital room and see a child's eyes light up just because you're there? Justin experienced that countless times. He sang, took photos, listened to stories, and often left the place more moved than the people he visited. Of course, his career kept growing. International tours, awards, magazine covers, and an ever-growing legion of fans followed. But amid it all, Justin showed he still carried that simple boy from Stratford. He still picked up his guitar to play acoustic versions of his songs, still recorded homemade videos, still smiled when talking about where he came from. In 2012, he released Believe, an album that not only solidified his place in the music scene but also showed artistic maturity. It was as if he was telling the world, "I'm not just a kid singing catchy songs. I have something to say." And he did. He spoke about dreams, believing in yourself, and never giving up, messages that became anthems for millions of young people. And when everyone thought Justin had done it all, he surprised them. A simple but powerful gesture, using social media to interact directly with fans, reply to messages, repost photos, call them by name. For those young fans who admired him, this wasn't just an idol speaking, it was a friend. But it wasn't just about fame and music. During this time, Justin began opening up more about his faith and how it helped him stay grounded. In interviews, he talked about how he believed his talent was a gift from God and that he had a responsibility to use it for something positive. This inspired many fans to seek purpose and meaning in their own lives. Perhaps one of the most touching moments was when he organized events and performances to raise funds for victims of natural disasters. He knew he could mobilize millions and use that not for himself, but to help others. With every step, Justin showed that success and humility could coexist. He was, indeed, one of the biggest names in global music, but he was also the boy who never forgot where he came from. And so, while his music played on radios across every continent, his message touched hearts on an even deeper level. And when everyone thought he had done it all, he proved them wrong once again. A heart that learned to soar higher. Do you know what it's like to reach the top, and still keep searching for something greater than fame? Justin Bieber learned early that true victory isn't about topping the charts, but about the impact you leave on people. After years under the spotlight, he could have retreated into his own world. Instead, he chose to open his heart, not just in his music, but in real life. And maybe that's why so many people still connect with him, even after so many different phases of his career. In 2015, with the release of Purpose, Justin revealed a new version of himself. He was no longer the smiling teenager of Baby, nor just the young adult of Believe. He was a man who had lived highs and lows and now sang about redemption, love, faith, and self-discovery. The lyrics were deeper, and every word seemed steeped in experience and truth. Do you remember Love Yourself, Sorry, and What Do You Mean? Those songs didn't just dominate the charts, they showed he could reinvent himself without losing his essence. And behind the scenes, Justin was more engaged than ever in social causes and charity projects. He joined campaigns against bullying, supported organizations fighting hunger, and continued visiting hospitals, often quietly, without cameras. But perhaps the most inspiring part of this phase was seeing Justin embrace vulnerability. He began speaking openly about his mistakes, challenges, and the importance of mental health. In a world where many artists try to seem perfect, he showed that true strength lies in being human. In 2018, A chapter of personal transformation began, his marriage to Hailey Baldwin. The relationship brought stability and new meaning to his life. In interviews, Justin spoke about how love and faith guided him, how he learned to value simple moments and daily gratitude. It wasn't just about having someone by his side, but about finding a partnership that strengthened his core. And it was in this balance between career and personal life that he found the strength to keep creating. Albums like Changes and Justice showcased a mature artist, willing to explore new sounds and use his music as a tool for hope. Peaches, Hold On, and Anyone weren't just commercial hits, they were declarations of love, courage, and persistence. Justin also became a vocal advocate for global issues. He joined environmental awareness campaigns, supported social movements, and used his platforms to amplify voices that needed to be heard. He knew his reach was a privilege and treated it as a responsibility. And maybe that's why, even after more than a decade in the industry, his fanbase not only stayed loyal but grew. New generations discovered him, while those who followed him from the start took pride in seeing how far he'd come. Do you see it? Behind the lights, there's a man who learned that the most beautiful success isn't measured in awards or numbers, but in the ability to inspire. Justin Bieber isn't just a name in music history, he's a reminder that talent, when guided by purpose and heart, can transform lives. And so, the journey of that boy from Stratford, who started singing in homemade videos, became one of the most inspiring stories in contemporary music. A journey of gifts, triumphs, love, and faith. But every light also casts shadows. Now click on the other video and discover the other side of the story, the difficult side. Did this story touch you? What inspired you most about Justin Bieber? Let us know in the comments below.